In DiRT Rally 2.0, some of the rear-wheel drive cars really teach you a lot about how to drive fast in a rally car because they teach. Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well. My name is PJ and today I'll show you how to drive rear-wheel drive cars in DiRT Rally 2.0. I'll take you on a live run through one of these stages so that you have some tips and tricks to use ahead of your next rally. We're going to go into time trial, we're going to go to New Zealand, and I'm going to use Waimarama Sprint Reverse because that's going to show me everything I need to show you for this tutorial. So I'm going to drive the BMW M1 Pro car, which is a rather tough car to drive. It's got a reputation for being a very difficult car, but with these tips you will see that it is absolutely a doddle. So what we do here is we are going straight in with no setup. You can see I've got the pedal cam down below, and the thing you need to be most conscious of when you drive a rear-wheel drive car in DiRT Rally 2.0 is the throttle, because not only is it the thing that makes you go forward, it's the thing that makes you go sideways. So you need to be very mindful of how much throttle you apply when you turn. If you apply too much, you'll spin the car. If you don't apply enough, the car won't go. So you need to balance it out, and you need to be very careful with it. The other thing that you need to be very mindful of is your steering. So always be ready to counter steer the car, because of the way that rear-wheel drive cars handle. You will see that they will often slide about a bit. They will also throw their weight around, especially a mid-engined powerful rally car like the BMW M1. It'll always, you can see here, I'm just gently easing it both left and right into each corner. And you want to, on some corners, you want to pump the throttle a little bit, because the amount of throttle you put down while you turn dictates how much rotation you feed into the car. So you need to be very mindful of that too as you get around here. And there's a good example, a lot of counter steering in that turn, but I wasn't on full throttle when I was doing it, because if you go on full throttle you're going to spin the car. So another thing you need to be careful of, as I fully save that one, is you need to sometimes, out of the slow corners, you do need to short shift. So short shifting is where you shift up a gear before the red line, so before you're supposed to shift. And you should see an example here as I bring it down into second gear. There you go. Because what short shifting does is it keeps the revs down, and it means you're feeding less power to the rear wheels and not spinning them so much. And the plus side of that is you can put more throttle down, which means you get a faster exit. It is an essential tactic to be fast in F1 2020, and in rear-wheel drive cars in DiRT Rally 2.0 it is very handy as well. Other than that, another thing that you need to be mindful of when you drive a rear-wheel drive car in this game, especially on gravel stages, is that you need to be always prepared to lift off the throttle. Even on quote-unquote straights like this, I will sometimes, if the car doesn't feel right, I will lift off the throttle and hit the brakes. Sometimes I'll just ride the brake at maybe like 5%, 10%, and then just get over like a high-speed jump. But you always need to be ready, even on a straight, to let off the throttle, because if you go over some bumps you'll lift the car off the ground, obviously, and if you lift the rear wheels off the ground, what will happen is they'll spin up. And if they spin too fast when you land and you've got any amount of steering lock applied, then you could pitch the car in a direction, and then you have to save it. But for the most part, the slow turns, it's all about being very measured with your throttle response. Don't put all the throttle down right away, because you'll kick the back end out. What you want to do is just gradually add it in. Short shift if you need to, just to help you apply that throttle a little bit easier, and always be ready to counter steer. Now this is easier on a wheel than on a controller, I have to admit, but you do need to be wary of how much steering lock you're applying when you do this. And one of the things that I like to do when I'm setting up my wheel is to have a fairly light force feedback, because that means I can throw the wheel in either direction. I can snap it really quickly, which is very important when I want to correct a slide in a rear-wheel drive car. So as I get through this turn, I didn't need to do much counter steering there, as you can see, because I perfectly managed it with the throttle, which was all very good. And I have to say, this car is a lovely car to drive once you get the hang of it. And you can see there I put a little bit too much throttle down, and the first reaction when you put too much down, let off the throttle. Let off the throttle, but then just let the car slide to a more neutral position and then put it down again. But as you can see, it is fairly... It all sounds complicated, but the more you drive, the more you will pick up these things as you go along, and you'll have a lot of fun in these cars, because I think in Dirt Rally 2.0 some of the rear wheel drive cars really teach you a lot about how to drive fast in a rally car, because they teach you a lot about momentum and weight transfer and all that. But if you need more tips, another video over there on the right, and I will catch you again soon. Farewell.